Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If we haven't met before, hey, my name is Anna, and today we are taking part in Canuary. Today is the second video that I've made for Canuary, and it is just about to wrap up very soon, which makes me super sad, but that also means that the prizes are just around the corner. Today I'm making a recipe that I've been wanting to make for months, ever since I found it in this canning book, which will also be linked down below for you if you're curious about it. And it is the roast pork in spicy broth, otherwise known as pork carnitas in a jar. It's not otherwise known as that, I'm just calling it that because that's exactly what it is. The recipe calls for 3 pounds of pork shoulder. We have an 8-pound roast, so we're gonna be adjusting the ratios of everything accordingly. 4 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, a tablespoon of canola oil. We're not gonna be using canola oil, we'll use another heat-safe oil. 2 quarts of chicken broth, 1 onion, a tablespoon of dried crushed red pepper, 1.5 tablespoons of dried oregano, and 3 garlic cloves minced. We're just gonna be using the stuff that comes in a jar. While the oven is preheating to 425 degrees, we need to cut up our pork butt, shoulder butt. Anyway, we need to cut this thing up into chunks that are about 1.5 inches. Let me drain this over the sink. This particular roast is bone in, so I'm not entirely sure how much actual meat we're gonna get out of this. So I'm gonna weigh it so that way I know how much I need to multiply the recipe by. Looks like I need a sharper knife, holy smokes. But yeah, this knife is terrible. Okay, I'm gonna sharpen my knife. That's better. Always start with a sharp knife. All right, so we ended up with just a hair over 7 pounds. For this one, I am going to do like basically a 2.5 times of all the other ingredients that are in there. So we need salt, and I'm gonna substitute avocado oil instead of the canola oil. Mix it all up and spread it out on our baking sheets here. And we need to pop these into the oven that we have already preheated to 425 degrees. Right, 425 degrees for 30 minutes or until the pork starts to brown. You're supposed to lay these out in a single row, but there's too much here for me to be able to do that. So I'm just gonna come through probably about, 2/3 of the way through, flip everything, and then that should do it. And I have this ham, I think it's called a ham hock, that I saved from the last recipe that we used. So I'm just gonna combine this bone with this guy here, put it back in the freezer, and we'll use that to make some broth later. Don't throw away your bones. And while all that's coming up to temperature, we're gonna pour in the rest of the ingredients and get them warming up too. And if you don't want this to be too spicy, you can absolutely cut the amount of the red pepper that you put in here. And you want to be sure to set aside all of the onions and the peels also. I usually put that in a separate bag, saved so I can add them to broth. You don't need it to make broth, but you may as well just add it in for a little bit of extra flavor, right? While we're waiting for all of that stuff to warm up, I'm gonna clean all of this stuff up and get the jars, the canner, everything ready to go so that by the time they both come out of the oven nice and hot, they're ready to go into the nice warm canner. Now it's time to assemble. Everything is nice and toasty hot. It says that we need to assemble these jars one at a time. I think that's just to make sure that they stay nice and hot. So I've got the other ones in the oven still. I'm just gonna take them out one at a time. And we're gonna fill these up halfway with the meat. As I'm not apparently filling these up one at a time. I'm just gonna do them one sheet tray, or one pan at a time. And these for us are gonna be intended to be single serving, so make sure we got lots of good broth in there. You can use the broth to cook anything you might be serving it with. If you're gonna serve it with rice or beans or whatever you like, you can just add in the extra broth to it and get some extra flavor going on. And this broth, I honestly don't know what to do with it. There's lots of fat in there, so you probably don't want to use that in your canning process, but you can set that aside, let it solidify in the fridge, and you can harvest the lard that's gonna form on top of it. I have a video on that one. I'll try and remember to link it for you down below. It's a super easy process, and then you just have all of this really delicious, flavorful fat that you can use in your cooking. Make sure to give it a nice stir. And pour it over your broth, or pour it over your meat. And then you just want to stir it up to make sure you don't have any air pockets in there. If you have a debubbler, use that. You can also just, like I'm using, just use a chopstick. Fill it up to 1-inch headspace. Wipe the rim with vinegar on a paper towel. And we're gonna go ahead and top it with our 4 Jars canning lid. Of course, 4 Jars is one of the sponsors of the Canuary collaboration. At the end of the month, 4 Jars, along with Leisa Sutton over at Suttons Daze, is gonna be giving away a ton of prizes that are based in the comments of all the videos taking part in this collaboration. So be sure that you guys are commenting on, watching and commenting on all of the videos in the collaboration, and you're gonna get a better chance of winning a ton of different prizes, including 2 different pressure canners, lids, towels, all sorts of different prizes. Is definitely should be an amazing giveaway at the end of the month. So once we have our lids on there and our rings, we're gonna set it in our warm waiting pressure canner. And we're just gonna do the same thing until we run out of everything. And once all the jars are filled up and loaded up into the canner, we are going to can this. For the pint-sized jars, we're gonna can them for 75 minutes, and if we're doing quart-sized jars, it's going to be 90 minutes. So, since this is not a detailed how to can video, we're gonna see you guys on the flip side. We're gonna take these out of the canner and do a taste test. It is the next day, all of our jars sealed, and now we're ready to do a little bit of a taste test. These are intended to be consumed, well really they're intended to be consumed however you wish to consume them. They are pork in spicy broth, but the general idea of why I wanted them was for pork carnitas, because I love tacos in any form that you throw them at me. Please don't throw them at me, but you get my point. Anyways, we are in the middle of a gnarly snow, freezing rain, awfulness, and I couldn't go to the store because I don't drive in inclement weather. So we're just gonna go ahead and heat this up and give it a try as if it were soup. So I'll see you back here in just a minute. I love that sound, but it always startles me. We're all warmed up and ready for a taste test. Try the broth first. It's got some spiciness to it. That is some good broth. All right, and the meat, just, you can literally take it apart with a spoon. Oh, that would make such a good carnita. That was, oh, this recipe is fantastic. It is absolutely phenomenal. You need to give it a try. 100%. Just remember with this, it's not necessarily intended to be consumed as a soup, although you absolutely can. It's delicious enough to be a nice carnivore friendly soup, and you can definitely take it as it is just fine. But if you heat this up, and you can use the broth to cook any kind of rice that you want to cook with it, or whatever type of side dish that you want to serve with it, and then you can put it on top of those little street tacos, those little itty bitty cute ones, and then you can add on all sorts of things that you want to. You could put cilantro, salsa, tomatoes, you know, olives, sauerkraut. You could put sour cream. You can put anything that you want to, anything that you like to put on your tacos, you can put on top of that, and that's kind of how it's intended to be served, but you can do whatever you wish with it. I hope you guys are going to give this recipe a try, and make sure that you check out all of the channels taking part in Canuary. I will link them all for you down below. We're getting towards the end of it, so if you haven't caught all of the videos and commented on them, be sure that you do now so that you'll be entered to win all of the prizes that Lisa is going to be giving away at the end of the month. Every channel that's taking part in this collaboration has a tremendous amount of canning videos, cooking videos, just all sorts of videos that are going to teach you everything that you ever wanted to know in the kitchen. So make sure that you check all of them out, send them some love, watch their videos. And if you want to check out my previous Canuary video, be sure to check out this video right here where I am sharing my two loves combined in one, canning up fermented sauerkraut. Peace out, sauerkraut.